Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at something that up until recently I actually didn't know existed, and that is frangible hollow points for self-defense. Now these are made by a company called SinterFire here in western edge of Pennsylvania and incorporate a sintered projectile made from a powdered copper and tin sintered alloy and with a hollow point drilled down into the center. While originally designed to be used in high-risk environments such as prisons, schools, and other government-style buildings, these also have added value for the civilian market as well. This reduces the risk to bystanders of a pass-through or of a ricochet and causing secondary damage. For their self-defense ammunition line, SinterFire sent me two types to test, both in 9mm and in .45. They do make an offering, I believe, in .40 Smith & Wesson, but as I don't have a .40, I have no ability to test it. For the 9mm load, we're looking at a 100 grain projectile. I'm not sure on the velocity, but we are going to be shooting it on the chrono, which is actually off screen over here. And I'll give you chrono data on that. This is going to be shot out of an HK VP9 standard length barrel. I opted not for the match for this one because the odds of someone using the extra long barrel from the match, somewhat unlikely, so we're not going to do that. For the .45, these are going to be shot out of a SIG SAUER P227. This is 155 grains and standard .45 ACP. Both of these are standard pressure to the best of my knowledge. On the 9mm, at the end, I may, if I have enough room in this gel block, I may also throw in a shot out of my P30SK, carry gun size, and we'll see where we go from there. For this gel block, I do apologize for a little bit of wrinkles in it. This one was remolded and then taken out of the mold in a hurry, so it tended to form its shape to the cardboard box it was in. As a catch block, just in case these do go through, I have a secondary block over here that I used for some other projectile testing, just in case they do happen to penetrate through the 16 inches of this block here. I doubt they will, but there's always a chance, and I have lost a couple out blocks before, so we're going to test it. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'll give you chrono data on each one and let you know which one's being shot first. And our chrono is on. Up first, we are going to have the 9mm out of the HK VP9. That was 1307. Wow, that was moving. Alrighty. Again, that was 1307 for the 9mm. Next up, we have .45 ACP coming out of the SIG SAUER P227. .1091. Alrighty, with both of those, it's a little bit hard to see from that side. I'm going to come around this other side here. You can see our 9mm was here on the top. Right here, I would say between 1 inch in and probably 5 or 6 inches in, we have pretty good permanent cavity, and we are splitting off a bunch of different petals. The main projectile continued down here, and I'm glad we actually put the catch block because it passed out of the first 16 inches here. Darken down a little bit. And we are, I'd say about 1.5 inches with the core right here into the second jaw block. So I'd say about 18 inches of penetration out of that one. And then the .45, let me adjust the brightness. Coming in here on the bottom, I'll try to get this in a side view so you guys can see it. About 1 inch in is when they really start to do their thing. It kind of petaled open. I've got at least 1, 2, 3. I got 4 petals. So you can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4 main petals. And then the main projectile continued on here. And we ended up just inside the end of the second gel block. So you're looking at about 16 and I'd say about 1/4 inch. If you count the temporary stretch, you go a little bit here more on the nose. I'd say maybe 16.5 inches or so on that one. So that would definitely be lethal. I mean, you can see all those little petals spreading out there. And if you zoom in closely, see if I can get in on this one. Take a picture of it. You can see it looks somewhat porous. And that's the design of the sintered copper material. I say just for science, of course. Let's shoot one right down the middle here out of the P30SK, a 9mm, and see how it does. Alrighty, this is SinterFire self-defense projectile, 9mm Luger, out of an HK P30SK. I'm going to try to stick this one right in the middle of the other two. .1231. Those definitely have a crack to them. Again, that was 1231 for right here, coming out of the P30SK. That was 9mm. And let's take a look at what we got. Virtually identical. Let me focus here. So you can see there, the top one was out of the VP9 with a standard length barrel. Virtually identical wound tracks. There we go. Again, you can see here, pardon the focusing, I'm trying to get it to capture these well. Tracked through. You can see right here, they both ended up about 2 inches into the next block. I would definitely consider that a capable load. So overall, what do I think of these two loads? Well, as we can see from the gel testing here, and as you saw as well from the other side, they are both more than capable as far as creating both a temporary and a permanent wound cavity. And of course, speaking of the temporary cavity, I was very impressed by this, considering this was the one shot out of the P30SK, and I was able to capture this on slow-mo. The other interesting thing was after I captured this, you do see a desealing effect when the block collapses back in on itself, and a little bit of oils that are in the surface actually combust. It's not uncommon to see this from rifle rounds, but to see this from a handgun round shot into block like this is kind of unusual and interesting. Both at least made it to 16 inches with the two 9mm loads, making it down to 18 inches out of both the standard length VP9 barrel as well as the P30SK. Overall, pretty impressive there. They do pedal and kind of fragment off in a couple pieces when they initially enter the block, although there is a main core piece, basically the bottom section here, that continues down for the full length of the gel penetration. Guys, I just pulled it out of the gel, pardon my shaky hand. This is that SinterFire 45 ACP self-defense projectile. You can see this is the base that penetrated all the way through. There's the center drill hole where they drilled that hollow point in. You can see how the rest of it is kind of pedaled off. Pretty cool. As far as their practical use scenarios, especially if you're shooting somewhere where you do have a chance of ricochet, say there's a lot of buildings, say you're somewhere proximity to like other houses, that kind of thing, they do come in definitely useful. The other thing, they do not have lead in them, so if you're somewhere that requires lead-free ammunition, that's a plus. As far as feeding reliability, obviously the 3 guns I've tested them in were the 2 HKs as well as the SIG 227. Complete feed reliability, I didn't have any issues there. And for their respective calibers, because they are lead-free and are actually copper and tin sintered, they are quite fast, so you can expect these to shoot relatively flatly. I will say if you're going to be using them, I would recommend just shooting a couple groups to make sure really where that point of impact is, so you don't accidentally shoot high, or at distance, definitely shoot high. It all depends on the pistol. If you run something with a long barrel, I mean, there's a chance you might shoot low because the lighter projectile leaves the barrel faster. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. All that to say, seems to perform really well. Made by a company here in Pennsylvania. Happy to bring these out, and I was thankful they sent them out to me for testing. If you're interested in any more content on these guys, I do have a couple more, obviously, here in each block. If you want to see them tested in other materials, I considered doing like a light gauge steel or maybe a glass. Glass is going to be hard to do because I don't have any spare glass. But something like drywall, maybe brick. I would have to source some, but I haven't tested them in that yet. Let me know what you guys think. That'd be a little bit harder to pull off. So if you did have some ideas what you want to see in the test, of course, let me know. Special shout out to the guys over there at SinterFire for hooking us up with these, as well as our components and our range training ammo as well. Appreciate them sending it to us for us to test. And like I said, always good to support a local PA company.